Everyone likes the parade, and the Southern 500 parade is one of the biggest and best in the Palmetto State each year. Defending points champion Dale Earnhardt served as Grand Marshal of this year's parade, and the units totaled an even 100 as 50,000 people viewed this year's event. This year's parade featured beauty queens, politicians, marching bands, and military units. And then on Saturday night, the 28th annual Miss Southern 500 contest was held, and Jennifer Tedder of Greenville was crowned as the 1981 Miss Southern 500. Miss Tedder, who is 24 years old, was sponsored by Langston Construction Company, and as her talent, she sang "Can't Help That Loving Feeling."
A big part of racing here in Darlington is the Stock Car Hall of Fame Joe Weatherly Museum, located just outside the racetrack. Each year, more than 750,000 people pass through this museum, looking at some of the cars that made racing famous. Let's take a quick tour of that museum right now.
The museum cost $75,000 to build back in 1965, and today, 16 years later, the museum houses more than $1 million worth of stock cars and racing paraphernalia. The Museum and Hall of Fame has 15 cars on display that were donated to the museum by drivers and car owners. The racing machines date back as early as 1950. Curtis Turner's 1956 Ford convertible is on display, the winningest car in NASCAR history with 22 victories. The 1950 Plymouth Johnny Mance drove and won the very first Southern 500 in at a speed of 76.26 miles per hour. There are more than a half dozen trophy cases, displays of such great NASCAR drivers as Fireball Roberts, Joe Weatherly, Tiny Lund, Bobby Isaac, Buck Baker, and Richard Petty. The Museum and Hall of Fame tell the story of NASCAR racing from the start to the present. A lot of race fans ask the question, how did the country's first Stock Car Hall of Fame and Museum begin?
In the early 60s, when the late Bob Cobbin, who was then president of Darlington Raceway, and Joe Weatherly, one of our top drivers, went up to Indianapolis to see an Indianapolis 500. While they were there, they went through the Indianapolis Museum for Indianapolis cars. And so Joe told Bob, said, hey, this would be nice if stock car racing had something like this. So then when Joe died in 1964, was killed at Riverside, they came in and built the museum here at Darlington Raceway.
Of course, the drivers and the machines make stock car racing one of the most exciting sporting events of today. But without the loyal fans to follow their favorite drivers all across the country, stock car racing would have never achieved the popularity it has. They come from everywhere.
Well, we come down from Maryland. There's 5 of us come down and to see Darlington. We came down the day before yesterday and to see the Darlington race.
Who are you pulling for?
Well, I'm pulling for 21.
Well, we come from Gettysburg, and we come to see the race. We go to Daytona, Talladega, wherever.
Who are you pulling for?
We like to see the boys run. We kind of like Petty.
Well, we're from Kansas, and it took us about 28 hours to get down.
Why'd you drive that far to see a race?
Well, we're a race fan.
You go to a lot of races during the year?
Wherever they at, we'll go.
Who are you pulling for today?
Richard Petty. He's always my man.
And, of course, every race has its beauty queen, and we just had to ask the new Miss Southern 500, Jennifer Tedder of Greenville, what she thought of the day.
Is this your first major NASCAR race?
Yes, my very first one. I didn't know what to expect either.
Thank you.
But I'm really impressed. I really am.
And we also talked with Darlington International Raceway President Barney Wallace and asked him if he thought in his wildest dreams when he began if the Southern 500 would be as big as it is today.
Never thought of in our wildest dream. We thought maybe we'd have 10 or 15,000 the first time. The first race back in 1950, we had 25,000 people, and a purse was $25,000 for the whole race. This year, the first place, he can win much as $40,000, and we're expecting 75,000, 80,000 people.